I wanted to have a conversation with you all this morning about how I experienced mood disorders and delusions, a symptom of psychosis. Mental illness does not discriminate and affects all people. In fact, as you've heard, I understand many times this weekend, 1 in 3 Canadians will experience a mental health problem during their lifetime, and I am one of them. I started to struggle when I first went to university away from home. I started having difficulty getting enough sleep, and then my grades started to slip drastically. Everything was dark to me at this time, a futureless future. Getting out of bed was a real challenge, let alone having a shower. Then I was hospitalized after a failed suicide attempt. Then there was some major stress in my life. My dad passed away. I was united with my birth mother. I gave birth to my second daughter, bought a new home, and was thinking of divorcing my husband at the time. Then I was hospitalized at the Foothills for 2.5 weeks and diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and put on medication for the rest of my life. I was only 32 and thought that my life as I knew it was over. It wasn't over, in fact, but it did change completely. While manic, ideas were free-flowing. My speech was also very fast-paced, and I interrupted people's conversations often. I ran every day, and my heart was beating very quickly, even at rest. I also thought that I was very attractive sexually to both men and women, and I had an increased sex drive. I wanted to let you know that, as people who are experiencing mania may often participate in unsafe sexual activities. I was hospitalized then, and I experienced delusions where I thought other people who I knew but never saw and lived far away were communicating with me through songs on the radio, through my children, through my friends and family. This went on, surprisingly, for about 10 years. So how could this have been handled differently by my employer from the beginning? Let's think about it in more relatable terms to you guys. What if your coworker was in a motorcycle accident and broke his arm, leg, and had a cracked rib? Obviously, he would have to be off work for a while to heal, maybe go on short-term disability. Then when he wanted to come back, he asked to do a less physical job until he was out of his cast and more mobile. And he could work part-time for a while until fully mobile, and then he could gradually return to full-time duties. Well, the employer has a duty to accommodate, and this would most likely happen, correct? So for me and mental illness, if my employer had have let me come back 1 or 2 days a week to gradually return from short-term disability and gear up to full-time, perhaps the outcome would have been very different for me, and I would be fully employed today. Then in 2008, at the age of 43, my entire world fell apart. My doctor wanted to bring me in for psychiatric evaluation involuntarily, enforced by the police. So the police showed up at my door, knocked on my door. I was in bed. I opened the door thinking they were at the wrong location. They tackled me, handcuffed me, and put me in the back of a police car, and that's the last time I saw all of my possessions, including my cat, Raja. At the Royal, I was put on the proper medications, I received effective therapy, and my doctor managed to renew my long-term disability benefits so that I was able to find a nice apartment in a great neighborhood close to shops and buses. I've been stable now for the last 6 years, mostly thanks to the volunteer work that I do, my hobbies, and a solid support network. The work I enjoy the most is going out to meet people like all of you and to tell my story to try to reduce the stigma that is associated with mental illness. In 2015, I was awarded the Royal's Inspiration Award in recognition of the work I helped to do to reduce the stigma of mental illness. And they even had a banner with my face on it, as you can see there, my 15 minutes of fame. I remember being so alone for 3 years from 2008 to 2011, but a couple of years ago on my 50th birthday party, my small apartment was filled to capacity with 30 friends. I think this is a testament that mental illness is not a life sentence. In conclusion, I ask all of you to befriend a coworker who may be living with mental illness. If they are suddenly arriving to work late often when they used to be on time, if it seems hard for them to laugh at funny stories, if they seem to be spending a lot more money than usual or getting a lot of speeding tickets while driving, or if their reality just seems different than yours, why not just offer a listening ear over a coffee in a private setting and ask them how they are doing and let them talk without judgment or without giving advice. In this way, we can all change the way that mental illness is viewed in the workplace, and all of us can do our best to reduce the stigma associated with it. Thank you so much.